An international and team golf competition to end out September. It's the President's Cup up in the Great White North in Montreal. We are now joined live in Montreal by Keith Stewart here on this Tuesday on the early line to explain everything you need to know about the 2024 President's Cup, the format, the teams, the rosters, and what is at stake. Keith, as always, we appreciate the time. Thanks for being here on TEL.
Ben, Joe, we're up here, the USA. Let's do it this week. Come on, guys, let's break it down. What do you got for me?
So, Keith, oftentimes I think when people who maybe are a casual golf fan think of international team golf competition, their first thought is the Ryder Cup. That's Team USA versus Team Europe. This is Team USA versus the international team on international soil up in Montreal. Let's start with the format and the roster breakdowns. Who does Team USA bring into this fight? Who's the captain, and who do you expect to excel?
All right, well, the U.S. they've got 10 of the top 20 players in the world on a team of 12. I mean, they are stacked. The average world golf ranking of their team is 12. Versus the international team, their average world golf ranking is 34. Both teams are made up of guys that are around 30 years old. Average team age is 31 for both sides. So these guys know each other very well. They play on the PGA Tour all the time. There's no live guys here, right? It's just a PGA Tour sanctioned event. We're up in Royal Montreal. This is the 15th edition of this. Canadian captain Mike Weir has his guys fired up to try to go after the huge, favorite side of the U.S. team, who is captained by Jim Furyk. Now, we all remember Jim Furyk was a losing Ryder Cup captain back in Paris 2018. And that's probably one of the things that the international sides is hanging their hat on as far as coming up with an ups. Maybe the U.S. side overthinks this, but I tell you, they are stacked. Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, Clark, Patrick Cantley. These guys are all here ready to do battle in a couple of different formats, and I guess we'll get into that too.
Let me ask you, Keith, about the international side, because with Mike Weir, he's got three pretty darn good Canadians on his team with Pendrith, Hughes, and Connors. What are you expecting from this side?
I think he's got to lean on those guys a lot, and not just when they're playing. And I think Corey, as the Canadian best player in the world rankings, I think he's got to go 5 matches. But I think he has to also rely on these guys to get the crowds motivated. I think Canada, every time, on the PGA Tour, when we come up here for the Canadian Open one time a summer, Canada comes out and they represent. And I think this thing is going to be a madhouse this weekend. It's going to be a hockey match that's going to last 4 days. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But that's where the Canadians, I think, really, really can play an integral part of this team. It's that even though Mac Hughes, he's not going to play 5 matches. But when he's not playing, it's getting the crowds going. It's getting them behind this, guys. On the international side, they really need, that 13th man, that one extra player to be the crowd to kind of put some pressure on these guys. And if the Americans don't get out to a quick start, the pressure is going to build are you on the team that's going to be the first one to lose in a very long time, at least this century? I mean, this is the 15th one of these. In 14 President's Cup matches, the U.S. is 12-1-1. They haven't lost since 1998 in Australia, and they didn't take a very strong side to that match back in the day. So I tell you what, Scottie, Xander, Colin, all of these guys, Tony Finau, they don't want to be on the team that loses. So the pressure will mount if the Canadians can mount a charge.
The only 2 times Team USA has not won the President's Cup, as Keith mentioned, losing big in '98 on international soil and tying back in 2003, which means the Americans have won 9 in a row. You saw the odds. Keith, before we get to the breakdown and just how competitive this year's President's Cup might turn out to be, let's talk about the format. International team golf events are different. The atmosphere is going to be electric up there in the Great White North. What is the format? What can fans expect to see over these next few days up in Montreal?
I tell you what, there's 2 things that the President's Cup does that I wish the Ryder Cup would do, and that is they stretch it out a little bit, and it's the way that they do the pairings. First, the format. They start on a Thursday, not on a Friday. So on Thursday afternoon, we're going to get 4-ball matches. That means 4 balls are in play. 2 American guys versus 2 international players. The best score from each team per hole wins that hole. You win enough holes, you win the match. If there's more than that left to play. Now, of course, on Friday, we're going to go foursomes. That's better known as alternate shot. So if Joe and Ben are partners, one guy chooses the odd holes to tee off on, the other guy chooses the even holes. And then they alternate shots from there. The team with the lower score wins the hole. Saturday, we're going to do both. We're going to do 4 matches of each. 4-ball in the morning, foursomes in the afternoon, and then Sunday we get to the 12 singles matches. Now, what's cool about the President's Cup, which they don't do at the Ryder Cup, is when the captains make the pairings, they do it as a snake draft, almost like your fantasy football, right? So when Captain Weir brings up that, hey, I'm going to put out Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith, then Captain Furyk can come back with whomever he wants from the American side. Let's say that Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantley. So when it comes to the singles on Sunday, they can actually match up the guys that everyone really wants to see play head-to-head, and I think that's one of the coolest things about the President's Cup.
Well, we ain't running to the window to lay to 340, so how do we approach when we're looking at betting this thing here, Keith? What's the best way to approach this?
You got to start to look at some of the prop bets, Joe. You know, top captain's pick for money, maybe Sam Burns at plus 300. How about top American player? So, you know, a lot of these, you know, situations where you start to think about who's going to play 5 times. Scottie Scheffler's going to play 5 times. Xander Schauffele's going to play 5 times. If Captain Furyk doesn't play them 5 times, then, man, the internationals start to get an edge, don't they? Hideki Matsuyama, he's got to play 5 times. Adam Scott. So there's all sorts of prop bets. Most points on their side, most points in the whole matches between the international and the U.S. side, most points by a rookie, most points by a captain selection. Those are the spots where if you hit your mark, like I mentioned before, Sam Burns is going to play with Scottie Scheffler. They're going to play a bunch of times. You know, as a captain selection, most points, plus 300, to me, that's much better than laying the minus 250 or minus 300, whatever the U.S. is when it starts.
The United States, a hefty favorite, as you saw, and it's not expected to be overly close. But, Keith, as you might expect, Scottie Scheffler is the favorite to be the top overall and American point scorer. What else is new? Keith Stewart, enjoy the rest of the time in Montreal. Thanks for helping us get ready for the 2024 President's Cup that starts this week. Plenty more to come on the early line on the other side of the break.